are listening to Pause. We pause for a second or two. This is episode 42. Specific skill diaphragm. If we put a hand on our abdomen, on our stomach, we can tell straight away that our stomach is a place where there are a lot of emotions. Most of the time, we do not want to think about how it feels in our stomach. And especially in stressful times, such as these, we really do not want to notice how it feels in our stomach most of the time. Today's episode is about a specific skill called diaphragm. And this specific skill is one of the 3 specific skills for the situation in our framework called ACUTE. It is the situation denoted with an orange exclamation mark. So briefly, acute situations are any situation that happens suddenly and shocks us in some way. It can be a violent situation, but not necessarily. It can be that something surprises us. That someone ambushes us or attacks us, or that we simply walk into a situation that is ill-advised and that something sudden, something acute happens. So, starting off, unfortunately, I have one piece of bad news for you. And that is that the feelings in our stomach, and more specifically, the feelings in our diaphragm, is in many ways our best friend when it comes to judging situations that can turn on us and become acute. So, one day you are walking down the street and you round a corner and you're going into this shop. And as you are approaching the shop, For some reason you cannot really tell why, you can feel that your diaphragm, which means the area just below your rib cage, that little pit below your rib cage and above your belly button, that little square area, you can feel that it starts vibrating. It feels very restless, very nervous, and frightened. At this point, you might tell yourself that you are too sensitive, or that you are imagining things, or that your sensation in your diaphragm is due to maybe you were thinking about something that was unsettling. And you will lower your head and enter this sort of state of mind where you start second guessing yourself. You start making yourself smaller than you really are. You will see that you will have a hard time focusing your eyes on something. So your eyes will sort of jump between different objects of focus. And maybe your steps will quicken and you will walk faster. And all of this started with some invisible reason that made your diaphragm, your stomach, vibrate and feel scared. But you do not know why. You just feel frightened. You cannot tell why. Specific skill diaphragm is about not putting ourselves down as we are feeling these things. Specific skill diaphragm is about knowing and leaning into the knowledge that once our diaphragm starts acting up and vibrating, it's trying to tell us something. So you're walking there, you're approaching this shop, and your diaphragm is feeling frightened. And instead of second guessing yourself, instead of putting yourself down, instead of telling yourself that you are too sensitive or imagining things, you just slow down a little and know that your diaphragm acting up, it's sort of like a spider sense. You know, like Spider-Man, he gets this sort of corny sense that, oh, something is gonna happen now. Something acute is gonna happen now. And he lifts his head and boom, there the enemy comes flying towards him. And our diaphragm is the same. And you know this. If you stop doubting yourself and what your body is telling you, you know this is true. So you enter this shop, and as you open the door, you can just instantly tell that there is something going on in here, in this shop, that is not really good. Could be anything. And maybe you cannot really put your finger on it, what it is. Maybe it's one of the people inside the shop that feels truly terrible. And you feel this terrible feeling secondhand. Or maybe something just happened inside the shop. Something drastic. Maybe someone inside the shop is looking for someone. Sometimes people is just out on the look for someone. Maybe something about you makes you a susceptible target. And since you do not second guess your diaphragm, you have this specific skill, diaphragm. Your sort of spider sense has already told you that this shop that I am now entering, there is something awry here. There is something a bit off in here. You don't know exactly what, but there is something here. So maybe I will just take a step back and not engage this shop in a too drastic way. Just take a step back and see what happens. And then, more often than not, something a little bit odd will stand out to you in this place. Something will feel, maybe I don't know exactly what it is going on, but yes, there is something that's not quite right here. And then your diaphragm's intuition will be confirmed. Specific skill diaphragm is like an example of that our body is telling us things all the time. Our nervous system is telling us information in real time. At some other point, it might not be that your diaphragm is acting up. At some other point, it might be that your heart starts racing. Maybe you get dry in your mouth. Maybe your palms start sweating. Maybe you want to close your eyes for some reason. Maybe your intestines become unruly. Maybe your cheeks are clenching or clenching. Maybe your fists are clenching. Maybe you feel tense in your calves. Maybe your throat clogs up. All of these are examples of our body telling us to be careful. And if you make a skill out of sort of being curious about these sources of information from within you, from your nervous system. If you are curious about these signs, you will in time be able to make some connections. And my guess is that you already know this, what I'm telling you right now. I think you actually know all the things I've been telling you in this episode. But I also know that you have a tendency to second guess yourself. Don't do that. It's ill-advised. It's unnecessary. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping anyone else by second guessing all the information you get from inside your body. Don't do that. I have this sort of rule of thumb that works very well. That is that half of the information we get in real time comes from within us. And the other half of the information in any given situation comes from outside of us. There is this constant communication going on between our insides and our outsides. And just as we can see something going on outside of us, we can see something going on inside of us. And there is this constant affecting. Something inside of us affects something outside of us, something outside of us affects something inside of us. And when we stop second guessing what is happening inside of us, we will become more clear about what is going on outside of us. So, if you do not acknowledge and take seriously what is going on inside of you, you will not be able to acknowledge or take seriously what is going on outside of you. There's this balance between your insides and your outsides. And I used to say this sort of image, this sort of mental image to help us grasp this concept that half of your universe is inside of you and half of your universe is outside of you. So you should spend as much time with your insides as with your outsides if you want your universe to feel balanced. And in conclusion, as we no longer second guess our reactions, the information inside of us, a lot of sudden and acute situations will never happen in the first place. A lot of unwelcome and dangerous situations will never happen because our body is giving us a lot of warning signs all the time. And many of the times when bad things do happen, not all the time, that would be stupid to say, but many of the times when something bad happens in a sudden way, it is often due to our neglecting the warning signs from inside. You will be amazed how many sudden, uncomfortable or dangerous situations just never happen any longer once you start respecting your own nervous system, respecting your own diaphragm. That's it for today. Thank you.